Jasmine Angelique, and I'm here with the review on the movie Shazam. So Shazam came out Friday, April 5th, and I must say I really enjoyed the movie. So pretty much the movie is about a 14-year-old foster kid named Billy Baxton, and he basically gets sucked into this world. And if you guys saw in the previews, he actually met a wizard who basically was like, are you pure in heart and blah blah, you know, pure and good and this and that. And he's just like, I don't think anybody is, you know. And so basically the guy was like, well, you're my only hope, and here are my powers. Grab onto my wizard stick. That's what I'm gonna call it, because I have no idea what it's called. So basically the wizard was like, you know, grab onto my wizard stick and say my name. So the boy was like, well, I don't even know your name. So he was like, oh, my name is Shazam. So he says Shazam, and he literally transformed into a grown man, like right before your eyes. And he explained, like, you know, all of his powers really quickly. And then next thing you know, he had went back to the real world, because some kind of way when the wizard was summon summon these kids, he would take them from wherever they were at, like in their house, on the train, in the car with their parents, and they would like fly through a portal of some sort. So he basically sent them back, and it just kicked off. Like, at first he didn't really know what he was doing, or he didn't know anything about superheroes, and he had hooked up with another one of his friends, we're gonna say, named Freddie. And Freddie basically, you know, took him on, like, okay, let's try to figure out what kind of powers you have. And they were just doing like a lot of little silly stuff, because he really didn't know what to do with it. You know, he was standing in the middle of a park and, you know, shoot lasers out of his hands, or lightning out of his hands, for money. So he was very like childish and immature. But I will say the guy who played him, which his name is Zachary Levi, he did a really great job at displaying or portraying the true essence of like a 14-year-old boy. And he was very playful, but he was very, like, you know, it was very believable. It didn't come off as like corny or anything, which it could have probably came off a little corny, but it worked for this movie. And then it worked because it's based off of a comic book. So, you know, you can't really say, well, they shouldn't have done this or they shouldn't have done that, because it was actually like a comic book. So he basically just played around till the villain came about. The villain, and a little bit about the villain. The villain is a middle-aged, like, man who has had a rough life, who never got what he wanted, never felt like he was good enough. Anyway, so he actually stole, it's so hard to explain. He stole he basically became possessed by the 7 deadly sins, which, if you guys want to help me out, because I suck, you have envy, greed, gluttony, and 4 others. Four more, okay? So, yeah, sloth. I'm trying to think. I can't. But I probably should have wrote that down. But he got possessed by the 7 deadly sins, and he actually, and this one of the deadly sins was like, you know what? You need to kill Shazam before he realized his true potential, basically. And that's how he came to find Shazam. And the villain came about in a fight scene, or just came out of really nowhere, I guess. Which he didn't really come out of nowhere to like the audience who was watching it, because we kind of saw, but he came out of nowhere for Billy. Shazam's, character. He came out of nowhere, and he had to basically, and he, as a child would do, he ran away from his responsibilities, but ultimately he came back because he realized that, family is what's important. The community was what was important, and he realized his true nature, or his true responsibilities for having the power of the powers that this wizard gave him, so long ago. So I will say that it is, like, I gave it probably like a B plus. I'll say a B plus. And the only reason why I think I gave it a B plus and not an A is because I definitely feel like, they could have spent less time with certain things and then develop like the villain's character, because you kind of saw it, but it was like a jump from the first time you saw him in the movie to the second time you saw him in the movie. It was a huge jump, but you did understand what was going on. The last thing I would like to tell you, a few little things about this movie, or Shazam, or the comic book character Shazam, is that his real name is Captain Marvel, which a lot of people probably won't know that, not even from watching the movie. I actually had to Google Shazam, and Captain Marvel came up as being his name, and then Shazam is just an acronym. The acronym stands for Solomon, Hercules, Atlas, Zeus, Achilles, and Mercury, which those are all his all of his traits, his power traits, right? Power traits? His superpowers. They're all his superpowers. And another thing is the reason why Captain Marvel was not used for this particular film was because I believe, I'm not really 100% sure, but I did hear something about Captain Marvel being a DC comic superhero, and then you have comic Marvel, like you have Captain I'm sorry, I did hear that, a while back, DC had a superhero called Captain Marvel, which subsequently is Shazam. And then, Marvel comic book has Captain Marvel, with the movie just came out, I think, at the beginning of this month. Or was it? Yeah, it came out the beginning of this month, if I'm not mistaken, or the beginning of last month. And they fought to see who was gonna have the rights to the name. So of course Marvel Comics won, because that's how you have Captain Marvel, which I'm kind of happy. It is what it is. But I did notice in the movie is that, because the thing is about when you say Shazam, and this is what didn't make sense to me. Well, it makes sense to me, but this is why I'm telling you guys this, that he does actually have a name, because Shazam only controls his powers and how he transforms. So he was a kid naturally, so he's not gonna look like, he can't look like a grown man all day. So when it was time for him to use his powers, he would shout Shazam, and he would transform into the adult version. And then when he wanted to transfer back to his regular normal self, he would say Shazam, and he would transform back into a young man. So I say that because in the movie, it was like, really funny, because they had a lot of times they was calling him, Captain Thunderbutt, or Captain this, or not Captain this, or, or just naming like silly names that didn't make no kind of sense. And he like, no, I'm not going to be called that. I'm not going to be called that. So he never really had a name. So I do want to give you guys, that tad bit of information, so you guys know, like, he does actually have a name, and it's not Shazam. And last thing I would like to point out, for the people who actually like to read comic books, they're actually a comic book that's closely resembles this movie, and it's actually Captain Thunder 2011 Flashpoint, which basically is about Billy Batson along with 5 other children. They all take one of those acronyms. Each child have one of the acronyms. So if you pay attention to what I just said, I'm kind of telling you what the movie was about, but not really. I feel like people need to see it for themselves. But it really was a great, fun movie. I enjoyed it. But I am looking forward to this 3-hour Endgame Avengers movie. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. I want you to like, comment, subscribe. And like last time, I asked for 1 new subscriber. This time I'm going to ask for 4 new subscribers. So that, you know, it's a little rough. I'm still learning. I'm still trying to improve myself. I will get better. So if you guys believe in me like I believe in me, you will help me out. Give me 4 new subscribers. Okay? So, peace.